Hi everyone. If you've not met me before, my name is Stephen J. Humphrey, independent parliamentary candidate for Bournemouth East in the soon-to-be UK general election, May the 6th. You are voting, aren't you? I certainly am, and I've had loads of people say that they're voting. Whether they vote for me or not is another question, but just come back from court, had a coffee and chilled out. Judge Mildred wouldn't answer my claim that I have to give my consent before I give any company my business, and he tried to argue that fundamental rights, inalienable rights like the common law, as I gave them in my Claim of Right 2010, does not apply. Well, you cannot waive fundamental rights. These are Bill of Rights, these are the human rights, and they all respect property. Now, the water comes in, the sewage goes out. And the Tory government, Maggie Thatcher's government, 1991, although I think that's probably after. No, when did John Major? 92, wasn't it? Anyway, regardless, it was a Tory-led government brought in this new Water Industry Act 1991 that basically split your water and your sewage into two separate bills. So water comes in, sewage comes out, and you pay for them twice. So the problem I have now is that the judge agreed with the claimant, Wessex Water, via their agents, Wessex Services Billing, or Billing Services Ltd, or whatever. BS. It's all BS. And so I pay for my water, and then I give my sewage to Wessex Water, and then Wessex Water bills me for the sewage. Only if you get consent first. And they didn't negotiate with me. They didn't discuss with me the terms and conditions of sewage, my sewage disposal, and it sounds awful because we are talking about shit, and human shit at that. But the court didn't look at the main issue. The main issue here is that A, you've got to have your sewage disposed of in a hygienic and safe manner on behalf of the public interest. And then secondly, do you need to pay it? Who pays for it? Now, if I come here, this, I'm not sure if this is sewage. That's probably a rain drain, but this is sewage. Brick House Dudley, Ductile Dreadnought, whatever the crap that is. Now, who owns that sewage? Do I own it? Because it's my water that comes in and it's my sewage that goes out. Or does the government own it? Once it enters into the public sewage system, who owns the sewage? Anyway, the judge basically ruled against me despite my protest, despite the evidence I gave him, the Bill of Rights, the Claim of Right 2010. I even quoted from the Water Industry Act that said, in the interest of the customer, you need to give consent. Now, admittedly, the claimant admitted to me that there's only one sewage provider in the whole of Bournemouth, and that's Wessex Water. And they didn't follow their own law. The Water Industry Act says in the interest of competition. Water Industry Act 1991. And okay, I'm grumbling over £200, but it's £200 I haven't got. But on the positive side, the court did accept that I was disabled and in receipt of benefits and therefore in financial hardship. And I quoted word for word the special interest memo from the Ministry of Justice talking about financial hardship. I've posted it on 20 million Facebook users who want to sack Gordon Brown, and this is precisely why we need to sack Gordon Brown and get a fundamental review of Parliament, because here's a Parliament Act that could literally, well, they're assuming that they can rob us blind. They're assuming that they've got the right to steal our money. Now, I don't get it. I give them my sewage for nothing, and they charge me £200. Are they not making money out of my sewage? Well, the claimant also advised the court that they've got millions of customers. Millions. And as the special interest memo suggested, that agencies are normally required to recover the full cost of their services, but in cases of financial hardship, which is now proven in court, those costs can be waived. You can be exempt from those costs. Now, what, in that case then, why the hell am I paying my sewage? Paying for sewage? I didn't examine who owns the sewage. It's my property, I said. And it just proves TPUC's point that the whole system is fundamentally corrupt. And it just backs up my argument that the government is abusive, bankrupt, corrupt and incompetent. I mean, this court couldn't decide. It doesn't even know that I have fundamental rights. He even argued that the human rights didn't apply. And that's fuck off. It's primary law, mate. You can't waive your rights just because the court says you can't. Or it's just ridiculous. So I don't think Judge Mildred's qualified to answer the question about consent. And that's why he said consent, it's not a question of consent, it's a question of liability. Well, excuse me, but if I don't give you consent to rob me blind, then you don't get to rob me blind. It's theft. It's fraud. And so I've now got to appeal, and then a court in Winchester is going to decide whether they can accept the appeal or not. And we'll have to wait and see, but I ain't paying them a penny. Not until this issue of consent is agreed, is resolved. Because without consent, they are literally thieves. And that's against the Theft Act. They're using fraudulent claims. And even the Water Industry Act that they use to justify their claim clearly says that you need the consent. In all cases it says. And so, am I a child here? Am I a prisoner? Am I an illegal alien in my own country? This is my England we're talking about. This is the Act of Parliament. And they wouldn't even accept that in cases of dispute, Acts of Parliament are null and void. And this Water Industry Act, regardless, if it doesn't have my consent, it can't be valid. It's null and void. And I did get the point over that it hasn't changed in 420 years. And so your fundamental rights do apply, and you just got to stick with them. I can't waive your fundamental rights for you, and I can't waive my fundamental rights. These are inalienable rights. These are rights that they have put in place to protect us against this kind of fraud. So there I am, well prepared. I quoted what I wanted to quote, and still it didn't work. So it makes you think, did they decide to stitch me before we even got into the room? But it's a civil matter, it's not going to result in jail. And I told him, you better arrest me for contempt and put me in jail a month before the general election. Because this is exactly the reason why I'm standing for Parliament, is to resolve these issues. Is government government if it has no consent? Is a law if it has no consent? If they impose on you unreasonable demands, seize your property and what have you, then that's theft. And we are living in a dictatorship, and that's the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And this is the evidence I found today. So what I've given here is the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, as I see it. And hopefully you guys will agree with me, and let me know what you think. Anyway, on this gorgeous day, I even got myself some new sunglasses. So on this gorgeous day, this is Stephen J. Humphrey, independent parliamentary candidate for Bournemouth East in the general election May the 6th. Vote for me or vote for other, but don't vote for the big three. Anyway, here's Stephen J. Humphrey signing off. Roger and out.